Hello and welcome back to this video. So in this session, I'm going to teach you another way to write your code in a source file and start the Python interpreter in a mode where it is going to read the instructions from the source file instead of getting them interactively like we did in the previous session. Okay. All right, so to do that, we first of all have to start Visual Studio. So I'm going to start Visual Studio Code, and so this is Visual Studio Code. It has loaded. I mean, you might see something different on your computer because my Visual Studio has been used for other projects. So what you see here is going to be a bit different or slightly different, but that should be okay. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a folder on the desktop, and I'm going to do that from the terminal. I could as well use the mouse to do that, but hey, we've learned how to do that, so why not? So I'm going to cd onto my desktop, and I'm going to create a folder called codebase. Okay, so now you can see that I have this folder here called codebase, and what I want to do is to drag this into Visual Studio Code. And so that is one way of opening a folder in VS Code. So once I do that, Visual Studio Code is going to open the folder. Okay, so you can see that there's a folder here, codebase, and it's empty. Let me resize this a bit. I just want to make sure my camera feed is not blocking you. Okay, all right, so this is okay. This is okay. All right, so what we're going to do now is I can create a file in here by clicking on this new file icon here, or you can also come to file, new. It might be a bit different if you're on Windows, but you basically go to the file menu and you select the new. Okay, and the first thing you want to do is to save the file, because as at now Visual Studio Code doesn't know what extensions to activate for this file because we've not saved it, and so he's saying select a language to get started, but it is also going to be able to figure out the language when you name the file. Okay, so I'm going to press Ctrl S. That is for people on Windows, and on Mac it is Command S to save. And you want to make sure you are saving it into the code base folder, and I'm going to call this hello.py. So every Python file should have the extension .py. Okay, and you always want to remember that. So I click on save, and you can see that now that I have saved the file, Visual Studio Code is aware that it's a Python file. You can see on the left, the bottom right corner, that it is indicating Python. That is where I'm hovering my mouse right now. So Visual Studio Code is aware that now we are writing code in Python. And let me increase this font size a bit. I think this is too big, and this should be okay. All right, so what we want to do is I'm going to say print, and then I'm going to let it print hello world. And this is a tradition in programming where the first program you write in any programming language is to simply let the program print hello world into your terminal. So we are just paying our respect to that tradition by doing the same thing. So now that I have written my instruction, print hello world, I want to tell you that at this point, even an intuitive understanding of the Python statement is okay, because we spend a lot more time talking about what you need to be able to have a technical understanding. So for now, I want you to take it from me that when you issue print, the print function, when you call it and then you pass in anything in code, basically what you are telling Python to do is to print it out in the terminal for now. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to bring up the terminal that we opened again. So this terminal is here, and I want to go into the codebase folder. So cd codebase, and when I do ls, you can see that the hello.py file is here. Okay, so the way we get Python to execute this program, I'm going to clear it. The way we get Python to execute this program is to say Python, and then you give the name of the file. So the name of the file is hello.py, and then when you press enter, at this point Python will go, the Python interpreter will load your program statement or your instructions in the hello world, the hello.py file, and it is going to execute them line after line. So if I repeat the print statement down here and I include something else, let's say I am now a programmer. Okay, then you want to save it, because anytime you modify your source code, you want to save the file. And then I can come back to my terminal and I will run the program again, and you can see that indeed it loads the instructions in the source file and it executes them line after line. So hello world comes first, and the next one is I am now a Python programmer. So this is how you are able to write your program in a file, and then you start the Python interpreter by using the Python command again. But the moment you pass it a file name, you are not starting it in interactive mode. What you are doing is you are starting it in a mode where it is going to read your program statement or your instructions from the file, and it is going to execute them. Another way I could have created the file is I could have created a file from the command prompt. So not long ago I showed you how you can create a file by just clicking on this new file icon here, or going to your menu, the file menu, and selecting new file. But we've also learned how to create files in the terminal for both people on Windows and on Macintosh. So I am using a Macintosh, so I'm going to use the touch command. But for people on Windows, if you haven't watched the videos on basic command line skills for your specific operating system, then you want to do that. So I can also create a new file by saying touch. I'm going to call this hello world.py. And so you can see that there's a new file created in the code base folder, and the reason it was created there is because that is my present working directory. Okay, so we have this hello world.py, and I can put in a statement saying hello world. Okay, so I'm going to save this and I'll bring up the terminal again. I'm going to clear, and then I'll do Python hello world.py. So hello world.py, and then it also gets executed. So that is it about writing your programs in a source file and passing the source file to the Python interpreter to execute them sequentially. In the next video, I'm going to present to you a high-level overview of the computer hardware, and it's not going to be deep enough, but it is going to be enough for you to be able to think about your programs. So I'll see you in that video very soon.